grew up becoming a Gamecock fan, so I mean, just seeing all the legendary cornerbacks that come through here, I'm just happy that I get to come back here and try to put my own mark on it and be the next one.
Believe it or not, everybody think that the defensive backs is going to be the weakest link this year.
It's hard to replace a guy like Nick and O'Donnell, who played here also. So, you know, those guys are going to be really hard to replace, but there won't be no drop off. And I'm sure that those guys in the room, you know, I don't think we pay too much attention to the noise out there.
Tell us a lot about the accomplishments that you were able to achieve while at North Carolina State.
I would say
you jump in the portal.
No.
Like, and previously you said you wish you would have handled it a little bit differently.
Yeah, I wish I would have waited a little longer to sign the contract to get the fans, you know, a little bit more time before they got hyped up enough to be like, okay, this guy's coming back.
Which team are you ready to play this year? We're here, as I sip my coffee, episode 4 with your host, Syvelle Newton. We got a good guest today. Welcome to Gamecock Nation, Brandon Cisse. Everybody can't get his name right, but we're going to get it right today. What's up, big dog?
How you doing, man? Pleasure to have me.
Man, listen, it's a lot of talk. It's a lot of talk already going around that you're going to come in and be just another cornerback that's going to create some history here at South Carolina. We are known to have great DBs, as you know the history. Yeah. You're from a small town right in Sumter, and you know about the history here. Like, how does it feel to know that you have an opportunity to come here and do some of the things that a lot of great DBs have done before you?
I think that means a lot that you say that, because, you know, as a little kid, I feel like you always look up at the screen and you always say, like, you see all these guys that you watch, like, just being a Gamecock kid. You're from Sumter, South Carolina, so if you're not from Sumter, you're either Clemson, South Carolina fan, so you always grow up watching on the screen, grow up becoming a Gamecock fan. So, I mean, just seeing all the legendary passive cornerbacks that come through here, and then, you know, I'm just happy that I get to come back here and try to put my own mark on it and be the next one.
Yeah, you know, leaving Lakewood, you made a decision to go out of the state.
Yeah.
To North Carolina State. What prompted that move? It had to be, you know, they wasn't recruiting you hard enough, or it had to be something that made you do that. What was that?
I would probably say just, you know, me and Coach Gray, we joke about it now that, like, you know, he did recruit me out of high school, but nah, it wasn't nothing like that. He wanted me to come to camp and work out at the time, prove the time on tape about the 40 time and everything like that. But I was just comfortable with my decision to go to Raleigh and be at NC State at the time, and I didn't feel like doing any more camps at the time. I was just like, you know, I saw everything I felt like I needed to see. So that's when I started my next journey and went to NC State. Yeah,
so you were at Lakewood. What position did you play at Lakewood? Just defense or?
Everything.
Everything.
Everything except the line and linebackers.
Yeah, so a lot of people don't know about. I'm actually the head football coach at Great Falls High School right now, and you know, I mean, some of your athletes have to play quarterback. They have to play running back, receiver, turn around and play linebacker. Everything.
Then go be the punter and the kicker.
Yeah, punter and the kicker. You were the punter and the kicker.
Punter and the kicker.
I was the punter, but not the kicker at Marlboro County High School. But yeah, man, something, you know, now with the rule where kids can actually transfer into different high schools, we're having Sumter High right there, Crestwood High.
Yeah.
You know, what do you think your decision would have been like if you were still in high school during this time where you could have went and played at one of those high schools?
I probably would stay at Lakewood, just because of, you know, seeing my older brother played there before me. So I wanted to pass on his legacy. You know what I'm saying? I grew up going to all the games, and just, you know, he was the person I looked up to the most. You know, just seeing everything that he did on Fridays and just hearing his name, like Cisse on the tackle, Cisse on the interception, and I just was waiting for my time, because back then Coach Perry Parks was the head coach, and Coach Parks is like kind of like a mentor to me. So it's just always something. And when I got my chance to go through Furman and the middle school there, I just was like waiting my turn. Like, hey, when I get to Lakewood, I want to be the best one, because you know, it's just kind of like family rights. So
yeah,
I wanted to be the best one. So
you said Furman.
Yeah,
let's backtrack. Furman Middle School.
You know, it used to be a high school.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Way back in the day.
Way back in the day.
It's a lot of different high schools that you know, transition. You know, a lot of people don't know Ray Allen's from Hillcrest, but there's no more Hillcrest, you know, in Sumter.
It's a middle school now, too.
Yeah, that's crazy. I played against Crestwood High and Sumter High. You know, those guys when I was at Marlboro County High School.
Yeah.
We never got to play against Lakewood, which Lakewood I think now is what, 3A?
3A. No, 4A now.
They're 4A.
I was in high school. Yeah, 3A now.
Okay,
4A,
yeah. So they're playing against Marlboro County High School now.
We played them in the region, yeah.
Yeah, so that's crazy. Yeah. You know, you get to North Carolina State. Yeah. You're out of state. You know, what was that experience like? What was that experience creating? You know, you come to a state.
Yeah,
you're in a different place. You're away from South Carolina.
Yeah.
How did that feel? Like, how did that make you feel?
At first, it was just really different, you know, because that was the first time, you know, me and my little brother, we shared a room all the way out through high school, everything. So that was my first time getting my own room. So, you know, it just kind of like, I was just happy to get out, you know, see something new. And then things came back fast, but it was a great experience, you know, to go over there and play early. I think that was the biggest thing that I wanted to do, was just get on the field early, get some experience. And, you know, now the rest is history and what I did there. But, you know, I wish I could go back and rub the fans a little bit differently from what I did the way I left. But you know how that goes. You know, either way, it's going to be some hate with that.
Yeah, you say, well, you know, that's what the transfer portal is doing now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's also it's creating opportunity for kids to live out their childhood dreams. Maybe not off a signing day, but maybe down the road. You know, you got some kids that's going to a lot of smaller schools just for an opportunity to say, hey, hopefully I can get to Carolina. I hear it a lot. And that probably was something for you, you know, to get back to Carolina. Now, you just mentioned like not being able to have my own room and things like that. See, a lot of times the fans, they don't know what type of lifestyles, you know, we have as kids. True. So you don't have to go so deep in it, but just tell us a little bit about your family, because from my understanding, you have a little brother that's coming to Carolina too. So speak about that. Just tell us a little bit about, like, let the fans know a little bit about Brandon as a kid.
Yeah, man. So I grew up with both parents in my household, thankfully, to have that, because, you know, not a lot of people or kids get to have that opportunity to have both parents in their life. But my dad, he worked 2 jobs growing up. My mom, she worked. She's a nurse, and she was really working hard all the time. But, you know, I think she kind of pushed me to be a very good kid in school, you know, making sure that I wasn't bringing home no C's. You know, A's and B's was a thing. C's was just like, you average, you know, and I think that's kind of what set the standard on the football field. Is kind of like, hey, what can I do to be above average? You know, and I'm just watching my older brother, and then obviously CJ being my little brother who's going to come here and play with me also. You know, we just super competitive. Imagine going in the same room with somebody you've just been playing with outside. If you beat him, you know what I'm saying? Like, he wants to get back at you the next day. So I think it only kind of pushed me to be so much better. And I'm beyond thankful for him. And then I have a little sister, Michaela, you know, who's great. And she's a basketball player. So I'm happy to have her. And then I'm wishing that she can look up to me and then hopefully be the next one. Yeah.
That's how it was for me, you know. Small house. Mom worked all the time, and I was fortunate enough to have a brother who went on to play at Furman University. Yeah. You know, he played in the Shrine Bowl, so everything he did, I wanted to do. So when I didn't make it to the Shrine Bowl, I was like, "Dang, he got one up on me." Then he ended up going to the NFL, and I got hurt right before it. So I was like, "Dang, he got another thing up on me in our careers." But it's not a competition for the older brother. It's always like, you know, I'm setting the standard, and that's really what you're doing. And I'm pretty sure that's what your brother did before you. Yeah. North Carolina State, you did a lot of great things in the ACC. Yeah. Talk about some of your accomplishments, because a lot of the fans really still don't know who you are. Yeah. They want to know. I want to know. So tell us a lot about the accomplishments that you were able to achieve while at North Carolina State.
I would say probably coming in and Coach Tony Gibson, the defensive coordinator there, he don't play a lot of freshman cornerbacks. Yeah. You know, and I remember my first couple of practices there, and then I kind of had that feeling like, hey, this is where I belong. Because you never know until, like, you go out there and you make a couple plays and then get a little bit of confidence. But he played me as a freshman, you know, and I remember week 2, he threw me in the fire against Notre Dame, a top 10 matchup in the first drive of the game. So just for him to have that trust in me and build it over time, you know, build off a solid freshman year. Probably, you look at the second half of that freshman year, I think I was probably one of the better freshmen in the country. then that sophomore year is kind of where things picking up. You get a little bit more buzz around your name, and you still got to go out there and put up numbers. And I think that is something that I did. You know, I think if you check the tape, you know, you could play me anywhere. You could play me inside. You can play me outside. I can go match up with your number one. I can go follow around your best guy in the slot. I can blitz. I'm an effective tackler in space. You know, so those are all things I harp on, trying to be the complete cornerback, not just a cover guy.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's well, a lot of people get confused now. And then I think something that people don't understand is for you to play as a freshman, you got to have some kind of sense of IQ out there. Yeah. You know, knowing what's going on. And I think that's kind of what separates me from a lot of people, because I am a football junkie, and that's something that I do all day. Like, I literally sit in the car. If I got a long car ride, I'm watching hours of film, just trying to break down the next guy that I want to study, you know, and that's just kind of how I am. So I say that. And my sophomore year was really good, and, you know, got banged up a little bit, but still got my hands on the ball and was able to match up with some of the best receivers in the ACC and then go follow around some guys. So it was good.
How many interceptions you had at North Carolina State?
I had one. Yeah, versus Miami my freshman year. Yeah.
One interception, but a lot of times people they say, well, he only had one interception. Yeah. But they don't understand like the things that you just broke down to us as far as like being able to match up with the number one, lock the number one down, move in the slot, cover over the three, being able to blitz, make tackles. They don't even think about tackles. They only say interception. But it's more of a big body of work. I was able, you know, to play quarterback in the SEC, and I got to throw against, you know, the Champ Baileys, the
legendary cornerbacks.
Trust me, I can go down a long list of cornerbacks that you probably, when you were, it was 20 years ago, so you wasn't
still probably watching,
but you're still watching the film of
watching studying.
But some of those guys, they were not. We knew not to throw that way as a cornerback, so they didn't get that many opportunities as some of the cornerbacks that were just kind of playing in space,
If you're getting a lot of targets, then that means somebody kind of picking on you. So I say my sophomore year, didn't really get too much targets in man coverage. So, you know, being able to go out there and compete against the best. And I remember probably my favorite matchup from that year was Alec Iomanner from Stanford. You know, just hearing all week, you know, how good of a receiver he was, and he's really good talent, you know, but going out there and be able to match up and go out there and cover guys and, you know, just giving me, you know, all I need is one play. And after that, you know, I'm just in the groove, you know what I'm saying? So that's just how it goes.
And that's what it takes. You know, I got to play receiver too. And to go against some of those top corners is like, okay, this is my opportunity, because he's waiting to see all week. I done heard about this guy, about this guy. And the same thing on the offensive side. We hear about this guy, You make that one catch, or you break up that one pass. That one pass is like, oh man, you know, let's play football.
Exactly.
And that's really what it is. And to go in as a freshman, I got through in the fire too. So getting thrown into the fire
is real.
The coaches really got to trust you. Yeah. And you got a chance to play with my little cousin Jalen Coit. Yeah, he always talked about, you know, how good the secondary was in practice. So you felt like he went against some of the top cornerbacks in the ACC during practice.
He did,
yeah. So I'm pretty sure he was talking about you also.
Something like that. Yeah.
So you know, you get an opportunity. Now you have great year. You jump in the portal.
Yeah.
Like and previously you said you wish you would have handled it a little bit differently. Yeah. What about handling it differently that you felt you should have done?
I think that a lot of things get constricted about people and their views, you know what I'm saying, about when a kid goes in the portal. But before I decided to go in the portal, Coach Tony Gibson was still there. You know, a defensive coordinator who I was there for early. Most of the support staff that people don't even think about. Everybody knows the position coach. What about the GAs and the people that are behind them that were really hands-on with you?
Yeah.
So those guys left, and I already signed a contract before they left. And I was just kind of like, dang, like, I'm stuck here, like, without these guys, like, they're gone. And I just remember having some tough conversations with the family. And, you know, we for a minute there, we didn't even have a defensive coordinator. You know what I'm saying? Like the Nichols coach, who I thought was going to get hired there, was like, okay, the last hope for me. Like, hey, if he gets his job, then you know, I'm going to stick around and be happy about it. But I wish I would have waited a little longer to sign a contract to get the fans, you know, a little bit more time before they got hyped up enough to be like, okay, this guy's coming back for sure. Then it looks like I signed a contract that I leave. Yeah. But it wasn't like that. You know, it just the coaches left, and then I just had to sit down and have some tough conversations about what was best for my future to get to the NFL, because obviously everybody want to play on Sundays, so that's what I wanted to do.
And that's tough because it's like coaching, being a coach. Like I was caught up in a coach change. I came under Lou Holtz.
Coach Sperry.
Then Coach Sperry came in my junior year. And it was like, okay, I'm the starting quarterback. Coach Holtz, Coach Sperry walks in. And he's like, you're not a quarterback. You're a wide receiver. So it's like, I'm confused. But a lot of the times, the fans do not get an opportunity to see, what's going on behind. You lose the football operation guy that you've been with this whole time because the new coach, the one that recruited you. Now they got a whole new recruiting coordinator that you done been behind for your high school year, and it's kind of like, okay, these guys I have a relationship with, it's like family.
Exactly.
And once they leave, it's like, okay, what do I do? I'm stuck in this place that I don't want to know if I want to be here. I want to be here, but I don't know. Exactly. And it's like, okay, well, let's talk to my family, see what's best. And I understand. So I'm glad that you have that opportunity. Exactly. I gave you the opportunity to kind of tell the fans, like, even the North Carolina State fans, because they're going to watch this. Yeah. So they'll get to hear what made your decision, because a lot of times they think, oh, it's just he's chasing out the money. It's not always about money. Not at all. But a lot of times it's about opportunity. Exactly. And it's about what's best for me and what's best for my family. Exactly. So I'm glad you're here. Exactly. So coming now, believe it or not, everybody think that the defensive backs is going to be the weakest link this year. Why? I have no idea. Maybe because Nick's gone, and we lost two more guys. So what did you get a chance to see in the spring with the guys that you are with, and how do you think, as a whole, you guys are looking right now?
I don't think there'll be no drop off at all. I think a lot of people, you look at the names, and obviously it's hard to replace a guy like Nick and O'Donnell, who played here also. So, those guys are going to be really hard to replace. But, I mean, you got to look at the talent in that room. And then you got to think our coach, Torian Gray, he's going to do a great job. Puts out a new defensive back in the NFL almost every year. So there won't be no drop off. And I'm sure that those guys in the room, I don't think we pay too much attention to the noise out there of people saying the weakest link and things like that, because, there's so much things that we know we got to work on. And, but, we'll never know if that's true or not till Saturday. So I guess we got to wait and see.
Yeah. And that's a big thing. You wait to Saturdays. Every year it's always a so-called weakest link. Yeah. But, you go do the work. And you go challenge each other all summer. You watch the film, much as film as you do, and challenge each other to watch film and get and build that team camaraderie with each other. You don't have any issues, because we all know what Coach Gray's able to do. Exactly. And we all know his track record of defensive backs. Yeah. So having your talent come in, and we speak about your little brother coming in, and you got guys that's still there that's helping you find the Gamecock way. What has been the biggest challenge so far for you making the transition?
I'd say probably the biggest challenge. That's a good question. I probably have to say getting used to the way people are, because there's a different kind of people. The biggest challenge for me was coming out of my shell, because I was at NC State where I proved myself like this. And I'm coming to an environment where guys don't know me yet, and so I'm kind of quiet from where I was at NC State, where I was just really always talking to everybody, getting to know everybody. But now I'm kind of getting like that now, where I can talk to everybody and come out of my shell. But I feel like everybody kind of has a respect for yourself once you prove to them that you can play. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, you always see a guy on tape, how good is this guy in real life? Like, you want to see him live do it. So I think once people, got to be able to see how I practice and see the way I carry myself and how I try to treat the game and the day, each day like a pro. And I think once they saw that, I think that's kind of how the respect comes. It's natural respect. And just kind of try to treat my teammates the same way. I always want the best for those guys. I'm never talking down on anybody or anything like that. I always want, if they got a question for me, they can always ask me that. And I just being thorough and open with them, and just trying to do anything I can to prove myself to those guys, because I'm for them too.
Yeah, and I love what you just said about helping your teammates during the time. Times have totally changed in college football. Yeah. When I played, it was more, guys being a little bit selfish. I know they're probably watching and say, like, what's Syvelle talking about? I wouldn't care. But you watch how the football has transitioned now to where guys coming in, this guy's getting this guy's getting that, and you would think that they would look at their teammates and just be like, I don't really mess with him like that. But it's totally different because everybody's coming together now and everybody's helping each other because you want to see each one of you get to the top.
Exactly.
And football hasn't always been like that,
Exactly.
but that's what it's becoming.
Exactly.
And you know, I hope that in the defensive back room, you guys are like that. Like, I'm not worried about what he's getting, his paycheck, none of that, whatever it is.
None of that matters.
It's funny to say paycheck about talking about college football, but that's where we at.
Yeah.
And but as long as that is your mentality to keep helping the guys that's in the room, it definitely is gonna boost you guys up on the field.
Exactly.
I want to do something new with you. You're the first player that I'm able to interview here on As I Sip My Coffee.
Yeah.
I want to call this the 2-minute warning.
Yeah.
So the rules to the 2-minute warning is going to be, we're going to ask a couple of questions, and when we ask these questions, we just want him to fire off with the answers. He don't get a chance to think about it. He just got to answer the questions quick. So, first question, who's your favorite cornerback of all time?
Stephon Gilmore.
Stephon Gilmore. Who's your favorite NFL team?
Steelers.
Who's your favorite college team?
South Carolina.
What's your favorite coverage in the secondary?
Cover 1.
Which quarterback are you ready to play this year?
Garrett Nussmeier.
Which team are you ready to play this year?
All of them.
All of them. Okay. All right. So this is the biggest one. Coming onto campus right now, what player have you been able to create the biggest relationship with?
Judge Collier.
Okay, there you go. So we finished the 2-minute warning, and we're going to get right into the last questions and finish up this episode. So you're here. You're now no longer a Wolfpack.
Yeah.
You're a part of GC Nation, Gamecock Nation.
Yeah.
What challenges do you feel that you could face this year that could cause you to take a step back or make you step up and be even a better cornerback?
I think, I try not to think about things that could bring me backwards. So I probably say, I don't pay too much attention to the media or everything they have to say. I try to block all that stuff out and just making sure that every day it's a battle against myself. You know what I'm saying? Not trying to compete with the guy next to me, but everything's about myself. And I think that the coaches do a really good job of understanding, like, hey, they give you the formula to be great. But, if you do everything that people do in the building, you're only going to be just as good as the people that are in the building.
Yeah.
Because everybody's doing the same thing. And everybody around the country is doing the same thing. So what are you doing when you leave the building? What's the extra that you're doing? How much tape are you watching? How much extra work are you getting in? And really, how much are you breaking down the people that you're going to play? Because, all those guys are great players.
Yeah.
No matter what school they're at.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing. People get confused. Like, hey, we're going against the FCS team. But you mean they got great receivers too. They in college too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, they on scholarship too. So I think just like that, I try to think about all the things that could bring me back, but only things that could elevate me and make me one of the best quarterbacks in the country. Yeah.
Have you had any struggles with dealing with any anxiety or anything like in as far as like the switch over? A lot of times, a lot of people won't ask like, hey, has there been any experiences that you had with your mental health and things like that, which I'm so happy that Carolina has a staff now over there helping you guys deal with some of those things. Have there been any challenges with you making the transition?
Oh, I'd probably say no challenges at all. The strength staff, the nutrition staff, the coaching staff, obviously they made everything really easy for me and smooth. And I think the hardest part for me that really wouldn't be hard to a lot of people, was just really getting to know my teammates. You know what I'm saying? So just really getting to meet new people, and that's the main thing. And I would say that's going great now. So.
All right, coming out of spring, like you're tapped to be on, of course, a starter. So how does that make you feel, like coming in to knowing that you're going to start coming right off in the SEC?
I try to think every day somebody wants to take a job, so I don't try to think in my head that I'm a starter. I think every day, like, because I remember I used to be that young guy that was in a cornerback competition every day. So I think every day is like a cornerback competition. I never want to label myself or get comfortable by naming myself a starter.
Yeah.
I never would do that. And I kind of want to push myself every day, no matter what the media says or the projections. And, I don't care what anybody has to say. I just know that every day that I have to compete and show that I'm the best. And I'm sure the other guys in the room, they want to compete and show that they're the best too, so that we all make each other better and become, everybody get what they want.
Good, man. And this has been a great interview. I still think the fans need an opportunity to know how to pronounce your name correctly.
Yeah.
Give it to us.
Brandon Cisse.
Cisse.
Yeah.
So they need to start with this. I came in the first time we met. I said Cisse.
Yeah, you good.
Yeah, I hope forgive me.
No,
but it's Cisse.
Cisse, yeah.
Brandon Cisse. And it's been another episode here as I sip my coffee with Syvelle Newton. We had Brandon Cisse in today, and we thank you all. Make sure you go in and watch the podcast at YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. Thank you much.